Do you know what a crisis looks like? Because many people don't. And for a lot of people, it takes that crisis getting a lot more severe or worse, coming to an end completely before they even know something was wrong. And as graffiti writers, we find ourselves in the middle of a serious crisis in this very moment. And we don't have the luxury of waiting for this crisis to end, because this crisis we find ourselves in may never end. And this crisis we find ourselves in is graffiti writers passing away way too young. Anybody that's a graffiti writer themselves or just loves Graff and follows it, especially online, knows that we lose graffiti writers all the time. And unfortunately, a lot of these writers quite young. And when I say quite young, I'm talking about people that are in their 30s and 40s. I can't speak for anybody else's scene, but back home in San Francisco, we seem to lose 1 or 2 writers a year, including legends. And we lose them through all different types of circumstances. But for a lot of the writers that we lose, there's no word spoken about them. They're just simply gone. And while this is my own speculation, I can say, given some of the ages involved and some of these people being on the lower end of the age spectrum, along with their abrupt departures, I gotta guess, some of these folks simply didn't want to live anymore, and they fell victim to substance abuse. And right now in graffiti, that second one, substance abuse, is a major problem. And this is something that's a society problem, and it's a problem in multiple countries, and it's not something that just affects writers. But given the circumstances that writers come from, us coming out of poverty, us enduring trauma, us finding ourselves out in the streets, it makes sense. A lot of us want to do nothing else except dull our pain. There's a multitude of reasons why people choose to dull their pain, and I've talked about why I did it specifically. And if you've been through the things that I've been through and you haven't become calloused, you haven't become super hardened, or you don't have strong relationships and strong support, I damn near almost expect you to turn to substance and numb it. And I especially expect you to do so if you're in your late 30s and early 40s. And unfortunately, this is something I have personal experience with myself. In January of 2021, I moved in with my now wife here in the city of Asheville. And for about 2 years, every single weekend, I drove down from Boone to be here with my wife, to kick it with her, get to know each other, and just spend time. And within 2 weeks of moving down here, I was seriously depressed. And despite being exactly where I wanted to be, being with the woman I wanted to be with, I found myself gripped by terrible fear, and this fear turned into numbness. And within 6 months, all this fear, all this anxiety that I was doing my best to numb turned into a major depressive episode. It also led me, for the first time in over 2 decades, to seek professional help. And while I was aware that I had trauma and I was working my way through some of it, there was all kinds of trauma I didn't even know I had. It was buried very deep in my psyche and was starting to resurface. And after all this repressed trauma was unearthed, I suffered 2 more depressive episodes within a year. And as simply as I can put it, all that stuff that was buried in my psyche could not stay buried any longer. And your past catches up to you at this age, because by your late 30s and early 40s, you run out of places to run. You run out of stuff to obstruct this path of your past, or simply you lose the will to run from it any longer. But there's absolutely hope in moments like this, and you can find things that anchor you back to reality and take you out of the pain that you're in. And 100% graffiti did this for me. In the summer of 2021, I uploaded my first video onto this channel. And like most new content creators, pretty much nobody checked out what I was doing. It was a struggle, even sometimes to get like 50 views on a video, but I persisted. And the first video that I did that people reacted to was simply called San Francisco Graffiti in the 90s. But about a year after doing my first Graff video, I did another one. And a clip from this video blew up on TikTok, and within a couple of days of me putting it out, it had like 400,000 views. And after this video came out, people hit me and let me know they wanted me to speak on Graff more and more. And that's exactly what I did, and the views continue to stack up, and I got a lot of positive engagement from people and from the community. This wasn't necessarily the easiest thing to do because I was very much deep in that whole cycle of depression and depressive episodes that I just described. And in turn, as I continued to immerse myself deeper and deeper into Graff, I found myself being pulled further out of that depressive state. But I do have to advise you yourself, doing graffiti videos, uploading content online, or even just going out and hitting up isn't necessarily going to do this for you. But engaging yourself further with your community, specifically the graffiti community, just might do that. And while doing videos and those videos doing well definitely helped me, it was this direct engagement with my people that helped me out greatly, along with getting a lot of support from my wife and my mom. And I know that some of you guys out there don't have wives, you don't have husbands, you don't have romantic partners, you don't have parents. But what you do have is us. There's something you guys need to understand about society, and that is there's no such thing as society. What there is instead is individual people with their individual perspective that they project out onto the world. And when individuals share interests or some kind of ideological alignment, friendships, relationships, and communities form. And at the end of the day, all society truly is a bunch of individual perspectives projected out onto the world and a bunch of overlapping communities existing in the same place. Some of these communities are absolutely gigantic. And when you think about the Sunni Muslim community or the Catholic Christian community, you're talking about billions of people. And these very broad communities that have so many different people are something like a closed ecosystem. And these closed ecosystems have their own slang, they have their own music, they have their own dances, they have their own history, they have their own social hierarchies, and they have their own rules and regulations about what it means to be a part of that community. And what the majority of us in Graff don't understand is that this community, our community, is no different than any of these other communities on Earth. And because we exist in this closed ecosystem where it's us, it's up to us to help each other out. But if ultimately it's up to us to help ourselves out, how the hell do we do so? Depending on who you ask, modern graffiti is about 55 to 60 years old. And at no point in our history as writers have writers found themselves as socially isolated as they are now. Some writers in this state might have been much more social a few years ago, but especially for people from San Francisco, a lot of us have moved away. We moved away from our communities and we moved away from our friends. And this social isolation got a lot worse during the pandemic when folks had to isolate. A lot of things haven't returned back to normal since 2020. And for folks that are a little bit younger, you guys might have only started leaving the house or wanting to leave the house during the pandemic. And you guys grew up with social media being so prevalent, with social media being the thing that draws people together versus folks coming together in life. So this kind of social isolation might be all you know. And given that human beings are social animals, this kind of social isolation, this kind of time away from other people and from other people just like you, it's incredibly painful. And personally, I feel like this is where the graffiti community as a whole needs to step in and address this pain. And there's no better way to do this than talk to each other more, communicate with each other more, and spend more time with each other in person. And we have to understand that we need to do this and do it now. And if we need some inspiration as far as how to do this, we need to remember how this whole thing started and what this whole thing was all about from the jump. And what this was all about was us being with our people, doing what we loved. But with that stated, I can say there's some serious barriers to us doing so. With graffiti being centered on the internet, that means people aren't necessarily kicking it with the writers in their town or even the writers in their state. And folks are modeling their whole style on people in other countries, speaking other languages, but they feel that connection to what they're doing. And they feel this connection because there's nobody around the way to be connected to. There is also something to say about the security component of meeting other criminals off the internet. There's also something to be said about the fact that graffiti is naturally competitive, and it would be very understandable for any individual writer to look at another writer and see a rival. And it's especially easy to do so because so many of us lead with our egos. And a lot of us are way more concerned with seeming cool, with seeming important, and especially seeming tough. And if you were to ask fools, hey, what's up? Do you feel like starting a book club? Do you guys want to play Magic the Gathering? Or just go to the beach or go to the park and ride some bikes? Fools would tell you that doesn't sound all that cool. But people do all these things collectively for a reason. And I feel like as graffiti writers, as fools that break the law, maybe we need to be doing some stuff together that does not involve breaking the law and doesn't put a target on our backs when we kick it. And having these kind of gatherings, having these kinds of associations, even online, would also allow a lot of us to share information with each other and share knowledge. Similarly, there's a lot of you guys that are dope with business. And if we had our own conferences, if we had our own gatherings, all these things could be shared freely with each other. But especially, we could keep track of the people in our communities that are suffering. And instead of just seeing these people get worse and worse, seeing them intermittently, seeing them every so often, and seeing them degrade mentally, physically, spiritually, we can step in and show these people that we care, we love them. And while there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna do what they're gonna do regardless, they're not gonna fight their demons and they're gonna slip further and further, we save some of the people that wanna be helped, that wanna be included, wanna be around people. It's worth all the pain that all this brings. But when it comes to this crisis of us losing writers so damn young, we need to figure something out, figure it out fast. And if we just stand by and watch it happen, we'll continue to fail our community, and their blood will be on our hands.